Come on. There it is.
Welcome.
To the joy of coding.
Hello, and welcome to episode 111 of The Joy of Coding. My name's Mike Conley. We're going to be hacking on Firefox stuff today. It's episode 111. We did this little exercise last episode where I determined that 110 was also binary for 6. That means that 111 is also binary for 7. So this is episode 111 or binary 7. It's up to you. And I promise next episode is going to have a 2 in it, so I'll probably not make a binary joke. Not for a little while anyways. You only get these periodically. So welcome to the Joy of Coding. Let me just boop, share my screen. And boop, let me pull up today's agenda. Ba-bam. So, today is September 6th, 2017. I'm back. I don't know if you know this, but I was away last week. Episode 111 has been delayed by a week because I was on vacation. I was traveling and I'm back now, so it's good to be back. I might seem a little more relaxed. That's because I was out and about, away from my computer and just relaxing. Hopefully that has an impact on my productivity. So today is September 6th. A reminder that no plan survives breakfast, okay? Like, I've kind of got a tentative idea of the things I want to work on during this episode, but I don't really know how I'm going to do things. I don't have I haven't got the code pre-written or anything. I'll be making it up as I go. I don't have a script lying around. Like, the script is essentially what you're looking at right now, which is just these bullet points and this is essentially it. This is my script for today. So I'm making a lot of it up, and that's okay. And, things might go wrong. I might get off track. That's okay. That's just part of life. So I just want you to know that that's all right. So first, I'm just going to do a quick self-check. Is everything working? Yes, I'm not dropping any frames. You can hear me. You can hear the sounds. Yep, that all works. I want to mention that this agenda that you're looking at is actually available to you. These links that are probably so tempting right now to click on aren't very useful through a video screen or a video player, but you can actually get access to this agenda. If you're watching this on Air Mozilla, scroll down to the additional links section because there's a link to the agenda there. On YouTube, it's in the video description. Let me just double check that I put it there. Yup. On Facebook, I put it in a pinned comment right at the top of this video in the comment section. And for Twitch, the people on Twitch, I'm about to drop the link to the agenda in the Etherpad, in the Twitch chat. There it is. There's one. And I also have a link here. It's in all the same places for rating this episode. If you want to let me know what you thought, give me feedback, etc., there's a Google form that will allow you to tell me directly what you thought and what I should be doing more of, what I should be doing less of. Give me feedback. I read everything that comes in. So if you have some feedback, please send it my way, good or bad. I also want to point out, again, the episode guide. I think I said I was going to stop doing this, but it actually appears to be picking up speed. Like, there's some traction here. I've got episodes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Someone's written notes for those. I think it was Smurf D started notes for. So S Foster did episode 1, and Smurf D did episodes 2 through 7, I think. 3 and up. So Smurf D did episode 2, and then 3 all the way to 8, I believe. And then I've got episodes 77, 98, 101. 104, 105, 107, and 108. We've got notes for those. And if you have notes that you want to add, just send me a pull request. They don't have to be super comprehensive. It's just like what you thought is sort of useful additional material for a particular episode. This is all for you, the viewers. It's additional reading material. And if you're watching an earlier episode, you might want to check to see if there's an episode guide. And if there isn't, maybe you want to create one. You can add your notes. You can create an episode guide and then send me a pull request. I will happily merge pull requests like that for this repository. It's just, there's no amazing structure. There's no high bar for content. It's just useful notes. And I'm hoping that, it will just kind of grow like a plant. So there you go. There's the episode guide, and here's a link to figure out how to send pull requests if you've never done that before on GitHub. That's okay. Here's an instruction guide on how to do that. So what are we working on today? That's a great question. A couple of things. There are two things in particular I want to work on, and I don't know which one I want to start with. The first one is I think last episode we were working on this patch, the sort of warm up the tabs patch, where whenever you hover over a tab, we like warm it up so that it's more ready to paint whenever we click on it. It's for improved tab switch time, and that actually had a humongous impact. If you take a look at telemetry, if we take a look at let's look at telemetry for just for 56 and 57. Let's shorten the window here, and we're also going to look at the tab switch, total tab switch time with E10S enabled. We're going to look at the median, the 5th percentile, and the 95th percentile. This big drop off here, this humongous drop off, is whenever the tab warming stuff landed. So it actually had a humongous impact on our users out in the wild on Nightly. And that's great, but also it opened up some bugs. I'm going to show you one of the bugs it opened up because it's very easy to do. So here's a bug that opened up. I don't know if you're aware of this. Oh, apparently I'm alive now, and 4 people are watching me. Hello, my 4 viewers. There's this bug, or this feature, I should say, where if you open up a video in the background, let's say I open up this video about Stella the dog eating blueberries off the bush in the background, notice there's that little play icon. I don't want to put my mouse near it because that'll trigger the bug, but you see there's a little play icon up there. That video is paused. It's waiting for me to select the tab before it will play. And now notice that whenever I hover my mouse over it, now I don't know if you can hear that, but the video has started to play and the pause button has gone away. And the video has already started, and here we can see Stella eating blueberries. So that's a bug. We don't want that to happen. And the reason that that's happening is because when we hover over the tab, we're fooling the tab into thinking that it's visible, that it's been switched to, so that it like sets itself up, prepares all of its layers, and uploads those layers to the compositor. And that fooling that we're doing is enough to fool it into also thinking, well, I better play this blocked media. It also will communicate with the page using something called the Page Visibility API. So the page will actually think that it has been switched to, and that's not good because it's very possible that the tab hasn't been switched to. Like we might just be floating our mouse over all of these things, and the Page API is telling these tabs, hey, you've been switched to, and that's not true. So that's a bug, and I'm hoping we can find a way around that today. And one thing I want to point out, hang on, there's someone talking in the live hacking channel. It's Jalen. He can see me and hear me. Hey, Jalen. Thanks for the confirmation. The thing that where was I? What was I saying? Oh, okay. So we've only got a couple of days, weeks left in the cycle. I don't know when the last time you checked out the Firefox release calendar was, but these are the future branch dates. This is the release calendar. If you're interested, I'll put a link to that in the agenda, and then if you reload the agenda, the link should be in there now. But the next merge date, the point where 57 moves to beta and Central becomes Firefox 58, is September 20th. So that's still 14 days from now, but there is a little bit of a code freeze occurring, or I should say, like, we try and freeze the code a little bit, so you try not to land too many things during the last week before the merge, and that's to reduce churn and hopefully to reduce the probability of introducing bugs before the code goes up to beta. It's also, I think, a time where we have QA people make sure that Central is going to be usable and there are no huge showstopper bugs before it ships to beta. I think that's how that works. So anyways, that's happening on September 20th, and it's already the 6th. That's 14 days till the merge. Soft freeze happens for about 5 days before that, so 14 minus 5 is 9 days. Some of those days are weekends. I've got about 5 days to figure out what to do about this. And I have other bugs to worry about as well. So uh, I really want to figure this one out in the short term. And if I cannot figure this out, luckily, as part of the patch series that landed to warm up tabs, one of the parts of the patch is this one. Make it possible to disable tab warming. So I added a pref that you can flip to turn it off. Right here, browser tabs, remote, warm up, enabled. So setting that to false disables the feature, and that's the extreme fallback scenario. It's a very cheap fix. We just disable tab warming, don't have to back anything out, and that is what we'll do if we cannot solve this. And I'm hoping to have a solution at least formed today. That solution will either be, here's an approach that I think will work to fix the problem, or I think we need to disable tab warming for 57. I'm hoping to have that sorted out by the end of the day. So maybe that's what we'll do first. The other bug that I was thinking of working on is this bug. It has to do with tab scrolls. Tab scrolling. So this is the tab strip. It's overflowed. There are tons of tabs in here now. And if I hold down on the left scroll arrow, notice how it's like pulsing, like whoop, 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 whoop. It's very irregular. And if you look at more maybe the release version of Firefox, I'll open up. I don't know what this profile has in it, but this is an old version of Firefox. I'm just going to open up a bunch of tabs. So here's a bunch of tabs. Man, this is a weird looking browser now. This is weird looking at Firefox release when I'm so used to Nightly. If I hold down the left button, notice how it's just super smooth. It doesn't pulse at all. It's just like a conveyor belt. There's some jank in there. I don't know if you're seeing those frame skips, but it's smooth. It's fast. And that's what kind of we want. And it's got that slow down effect. That's actually kind of cool. So I want to try and get that back. So those are the two things that I want to work on today. I might only get to one of them. We might not even finish one of them. And I got to figure out what to do first. Well, one thing I want to investigate. Let's try the tab scrolling one first, actually, because I'm actually already kind of in the middle of it, I think. That's this bug. I already have it in the notes. Animation of scrolling tab strip is not smooth. It scrolls as the inchworm, said the reporter. Very, very apt description. It's like an inchworm. And in this bug, I was discussing the solution with Dow, who is another engineer who works on Firefox, and his suggestion was to put back this structure called arrow scroll anim. I actually have already dropped it back in. Arrow scroll anim, which is the structure that maintains a scrolling state and uses request animation frame to power the tab scrolling. And you turn it on. There's a start method and a stop method. And whenever you've started it, then it just uses request animation frame to queue up scrolls. So that's what he suggested we put back. And so let's check this out. It might be possible to do this without actually using scroll position, because scroll position is actually that will cause layout flushes, and I'd like to avoid that if possible. So I mean, that's the whole reason we removed all this stuff in the first place. So let's see here. All of this other stuff seems okay. It's this sampling function that's kind of the problem. And so what I want to do actually, the scroll index tells us what direction we're moving, either positive or negative. Time passed tells us how many times since the last time we scrolled I guess the last time we had an animation frame we did a scroll, and that is used as in this delta calculation to figure out how much we need to scroll this strip, and then it uses scroll position. And what I'm thinking what we should use instead is scroll box scroll by, and then depending on left or up, there's start and props. So a scroll box can either be vertical or like vertical or horizontal. And I want to like calculate whether or not like we're in the, because I have to handle both cases here. Because scroll by will take like this object. I think it will. Let's take a look. Scroll by. Smooth scroll by. MDN scroll by. Smooth scroll. Oh boy. Smooth scroll. Oh, come on. Smooth scrolling. Scroll behavior. CSS scroll by smooth. I think I've seen this as like a, yeah, window scroll by, and then you give it like top, left, and then behavior. So what we're going to try, or what I'm going to try, Dow I think said that this wouldn't work, but I want to give it a shot. Say that it's smooth, and then determine whether or not the scroll box is vertical or horizontal, and then set the appropriate arguments. So let args equals behavior smooth, top 0, left 0, and then if this dot scroll box, and I think there's like a, I don't want to like move around in the editor, so I'll look it up in DXR, vertical, this orient, if this scroll box, or I should, yeah, scroll box to orient equals vertical, orient, then I want to set the top. Let let prop equal, actually I can do it this way, I can use a ternary. Let prop equal, if the scroll box is vertical, top, otherwise we're going to be setting left. And then say args prop equals scroll delta. And then say scroll by args. Okay, so that's, I wonder if that will work. This is all like hypothetical. I'm not entirely sure if this will work. I guess put that back. That's probably fine. And so now I need to put the things back that originally called into arrow scroll anim. And that was in start scroll, right here, right here. So I'll put that back. And then under stop scroll, arrow scroll anim, these two places. So we say stop. If this dot smooth scroll stop. And then, well, hold on, scroll index. Yeah, it's fine. Okay, so that might do it. Let's see what happens. Let's build it. So now we have all of these tabs. Let's get these tabs overflowed. And now I'm going to click here. Whoa, what's that music coming from? It's an ad. Let's avoid that. So tab scrolling still works here. Now let's try and click this. Nothing. Oh wow. Um, double clicking works because that's a different event handler, but clicking down does not. Let's see if there's an error anywhere. Um, this .mm is null. That seems unrelated. I'm gonna trash these. Click. Nothing. All right. Well, let's attach the debugger and see if we can figure out what's going on. So let's look inside scroll bar or scroll box.xml. Whoops, scroll box, and we're gonna look for um, anim scroll scroll by. Whoops, I need to make this larger. This is all very confusing. Scroll by um, set a breakpoint there, click, and I enter, and then I calculate some stuff, and I calculate a scroll delta of -7. That sounds reasonable. I don't know why. Is this a scroll box? Is that why this is such a pain to scroll right now? That'd be ironic. And then say smooth scroll. What's happening? It's prop. So args now is behavior smooth left. And then nothing happened. Nothing happened. Scroll by didn't work. Interesting. Okay. Let's get out of here. Now, scroll by pixels. What is that? That is something that Dow mentioned. Scroll by pixels instead. Oh, it's already doing the pixels and then instant. Maybe I should be using that instead. And then, I see what you meant, Dow. So instead of doing all these calculations ourselves, because we don't have to, we can do, say, this dot scroll box, scroll by pixels. And let's see how it's used. Number of pixels. So delta. And then instant. How would I say not instant? What happens if I do that? Let's find out. Click. Okay. So we've got some scrolling here. It's very slow. It's very slow. Now, let's see if we can find a way. Well, first of all, how about false? What happens if I say true? And is there something I can do to increase the speed? Much faster. Hey, that's exactly what we want, I think. Boop, 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 boop. It's not using smooth scroll, but it's like this is using smooth scroll. This is not. This is not using smooth scroll. But you know what? This might be better for now. Maybe we can find a way of getting rid of smooth scroll down the road, or getting rid of the this little workaround down the road. But for now, this might be the shortest path. Let me see if we pass all of our tests for performance now, because that is a thing that I'm worried about, but I suspect the scroll anim stuff is only ever triggered whenever you click on the left and right arrow buttons. So it's possible that the test won't catch this, and that's okay. The reflow test is what I'm thinking about. I wrote reflow test to ensure that we don't introduce new reflows. Hey, all right. You know what? This might be exactly what we need then. So this might be the shortest solution. Let's see what happens. Let's commit this. Bug. In the end, the solution, like Dow is going to be my reviewer for this probably, and so I think I'm in agreement with him that this is the right solution, or the safest one given how much time's remaining. And this is essentially a punt. We're going to punt until you know, in a future release, maybe we can find a way of getting rid of this the layout flushes, because I'm pretty sure if you were to well, I'll confirm in a second. Um, revert, make revert tab strip scrolling behavior when using arrow buttons. Are those what those called? Arrow buttons. Start scroll. Mouse down to a scroll button when using scroll buttons. Revert tab strips. Use original RDAO. And then you know what I should do is probably write a more complicated comment. We use in bug such and such. What was the bug? In bug such and such, we switched scroll box to use CSS smooth scroll when the scroll box is configured to scroll smoothly. This caused the tab strip to pulse, scroll with a pulse when using the arrow scroll buttons. When using the arrow scroll buttons, this is because we scroll by a single index, single tab each time, as opposed to scrolling by pixels. It might be possible down the road. This reverts part of bug 1356705, so that we use instant scrolling instead of smooth scrolling in this case, which returns the original behavior of the strip without the pulse. um, in the scroll buttons case, which returns the original behavior is different than the pulse. All right. Let's push that up for review and take a look.
Mamma mia!
Just playing you some sounds. Got some good Zelda ones here. Like that. Ooh, Smurf D just dropped a comment in the live hacking chat room with another link on the beginner's guide to contributing to a GitHub project. Thank you, Smurf D. I'm going to put that link in the agenda as well. Boop, boop, boop. Here's the guide that Smurf D used and recommends. How do you spell that? Recommends. I don't know, actually. Bam. There you go. Thanks. Added to the agenda. And so this patch has gone up now. Let's take a quick look before we request review. We should also probably push it to try. I actually feel pretty good about this. We're essentially putting, like, we're putting back stuff that was there before, but we're changing the mechanism slightly to use scroll by pixels. And one of the things I wanted to test was whether or not this causes us to flush layout every time we hold down the every time we hold down this button. And the answer is no. I don't think so anyways. Let me up. Oh yeah, we got a low threshold there. This is probably okay. That's okay. Let's dump the report. Scroll by pixels. So it's a little bit. There's like at the start and the end, there's a little bit. Line 391. 391. Oh yeah, using scroll by is, I guess, doing it. Scroll by pixels causes there's a little bit of a layout flush. It's not so bad though, and I think notice that I'm not layout flushing very much whenever I just scroll around like this. That's nice. And we get 1 when we start sometimes. Alright, I think I can live with that. So let's push this for review. Let's publish for review. I'm going to trigger a try build as well. Smurfy says no problem. And trigger a try build. Let's build some try syntax here. Sure. Let's use artifact, Linux 64, OS X, Win 64. We're talking Moki test, probably BC and Chrome. BC, that's nice. And artifact. Okay, submit. Okay, so we got a patch up for that. We'll let that cook for a bit and see what happens. That's nice. And here's the other one. So we're blocked on a try push, try build. We're blocked on review. Let me get the link to the try build. One should be posted to try shortly. Come on, come on. There it is. So I'll take this link. Try push. And then I'm going to put a to-do down here, file a bug to see if there's a way we can use smooth scrolling down the road. Misspelled scrolling. So now I say that this has to-dos. And let's shelve that. That's done for now. What do I want to do now? I want to work on that tab background coming alive thing that we were talking about before. So I was in a conversation with another engineer earlier today, maybe just like less than an hour or two ago. Bill McCloskey, great engineer, was telling me that one of the things we might be able to do. So the reason that the video is becoming unblocked and the page visibility stuff's being triggered is because we're doing what's called setting the dock shell as active, which is essentially saying, hey, tab, you've been switched to. You better paint now. And so I asked Bill, is there a way, this conversation here is me asking Bill, is it possible that I can make the tab like paint and upload its layers to the compositor, which is what we want, without it thinking that it's actually visible? And Bill suggested that I might be able to call make visible on something. I'm not exactly sure where make visible is defined. On the tab child. And that might be enough. So I make it visible, but I don't set the dock shell as active. Make visible. And make visible is idempotent or idempotent. How do you pronounce that? How do you say? This is how'd you say idempotent? How do you say pronounce idempotent? Sorry, this is very important.
Idempotent or idempotent.
Idempotent.
Idempotent or idempotent.
Okay, according to Emma saying, this is idempotent. Let me make sure I got that right.
Idempotent or idempotent.
Idempotent. Alright, so tab child make visible as idempotent, meaning that if you call it multiple times, it's okay. There's like it will handle the fact that you call it like an arbitrary number of times because it will first check to see whether or not the puppet widget is visible, and if it is, it will just return. But if not, then it will make it visible, which should presumably make subsequent calls say just bail out. So that's what idempotent or idempotent means. And then make hidden does the exact opposite. So I wonder if that's enough. Can we say make visible? Great question. I wonder if there is a way I can... because here's what I want to do. I want to tell the tab child, warm up this tab, and use the same high speed pathways that switching to the tab uses. Because sometimes we are able, like we can interrupt JavaScript to switch to tabs. I want to be able to do that for, say, warm up this tab. And the way that that works is, so I might have to like, what is it, force tab paint, tab parent, force tab paint says force paint, and then force paint on the P background will say parent force paint on hang modder parent, which dispatches force paint on thread, which is send force paint. So I wonder if I should add an extra argument for like warming. So suppose I add a new argument to bullets time or numbers time, force paints, force paint in IPDL to P process hang monitor child and I guess P browser set doc shell is active. That's not exactly right though. Set doc shell is active in P browser. That second one, I have doubts. Because the name of the message is set doc shell is active. It should definitely be setting the doc shell to either be active or not, and not some weird in-between state. Because that's what the warming state is, kind of a weird in-between state. So maybe we need a new message for force paint. For the first one, makes sense though. I think I can work with that. And the other, like, I need to, what would be great is if I can actually test this without implementing all of this. Can I write a quick hack implementation? Send a message, tab child. What could I do? On hover, send a message from tab parent to tab child that says, hey, warm up now. Hey, make active. Okay. Let's try that. That should be pretty straightforward. So what I'm going to do is warm up tab. I'm going to disable tab warming. From here. So this is the part that warmed up the tab on hover. But instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say this dot linked browser frame loader tab parent if tab parent then tab parent dot warm up. Let's see what happens there. Okay. I don't know how am I going to measure success here. How am I going to measure success? Well, let's just see if things break. How's that? pbrowser.ipdl. We're going to add something to pbrowser to the parent to tell the child. async warm up. And so, and then we're going to need an NSI tab parent. We need to add a void warmup, right? Warmup. And then in tab parent, we're going to have a silly little NSI method imp tab parent warm up. And what I'll do is we'll say unused send warm up, and then tab child.cpp and tab child.h. Tab child.h has to implement warm up. It's really sloppy. This is just a test. Receive warm up. No data. And then tab child. Warm up. And then return IPC OK. And I'm going to say print tab child warming up. So does that work? Just going to build and see what happens. So what I've done then is I've added an interface, a method to the interface for tab parent, which allows me to call into the tab parent C++ code. I've added an IPC message between the tab parent and the tab child that the C++ code in the tab parent then calls to tell the child, hey, warm up. And then I've got receiver code in the tab child that says, okay, I've received a warm up message, print to the console that I'm warming up. And let's just see if that works. And if so, then yeah, I'm worried. So I'm a little bit worried because you have to set the doc shell as active state loaded. I'm worried because we can warm up, we can make the content visible and have it upload its layers. But if the async tab switcher then won't know that it's warmed up, it won't put it into state loaded. It will have to activate the doc shell anyways. I'm gonna have to like rejig the async tab switcher so that it knows to set the doc shell to be active. But still switch, I guess. Make layers ready. Oh, if I make active, I wonder if that will set state loaded. That might help. The doc shell might not be active, but it will be state loaded. I'd need to, irregardless of the warming state, I'd have to set the doc shell to be active. I'd have to make sure that we always set the doc shell to be active, even if it's state loaded, unless the doc shell is already active. Okay. Well, let's let this build for a second and see how it goes. Hopefully this doesn't take too much longer. I've got what's going on, internet? Come on, build, build, build. I find it's been kind of wacky the last couple of days. Sometimes I'll reach the very end of the of the build process, and then it will just freeze while it's like packaging up um, screenshot stuff, which isn't happening right now, but I'm just warning you that it might happen in the future. Well, while we're waiting, I wonder if there's maybe some other work we can do. Maybe we can review some code. Let's take a look at my review queue. So I've got a bunch of need infos. Some of them are really old. They're from before I went on vacation. What's this need info for? Oh, I see. They got rid of some IPC stuff when launching a child process. And then they got like a TS Paint regression. Huh. And I need infoed myself to probably get them profiles. How about over here? Here's a need info that I had earlier. So this bug, async shutdown crash by infinite running JS code inside a window via set timeout. So quitting Firefox via the menu after running the following JS code in a window like Scratchpad, the shutdown takes forever and finally Firefox is killed. Dialog's not coming up. It should be enough to load the station. I can tell the bug here is that there may not be a window during shutdown to show the hang UI inside. In processing, we should probably deal with the case where there are no windows and call terminate script or some such. No, this is purely based on code inspection. What do you think? If there are no windows, and maybe if we're in the process of shutting down, and we get one of these messages, I think it makes sense. Get one of these process hang. I think it makes sense to kill the script immediately. So there's one answered. And we're still building over here. Come on. Why so slow? I thought I had SC cache running, and that should have made this faster. No cache hits. Not many cache hits, a lot of cache misses. Okay, Heis asks a question here a couple of days ago. While looking for weird bugs in the UX, I noticed that the container color bar animates smoothly in at my display is 60 FPS, but the loading spinner for tabs seems capped at a very low frame rate. This is a 12 frame PNG. Not sure how we made this PNG. Can we replace the loading spinner with something other than APNG so it's smoothly animated like the rest of the tab bar? I linked the wrong spinner. I can't actually spinner we're using. We switched, is that, so, need info reporter, needing reporter to see if the issue, alright, needing atoll for comment 4. As for the tab switch throughout spinner, yes, that's an APNG, and I suppose it might make sense to do something at 60 FPS there. But ideally, we don't show at all. We wouldn't show it at all. And I worry that rendering a high frame rate animation while we're waiting for the content process to catch up might might add more fuel to the performance fire that the content process is dealing with at the time. No, I worry that rendering a high frame rate animation while waiting for the content process to catch up might be counterproductive, since that means we're spending more CPU cycles rendering the wait animation, spending more CPU cycles and thread time rendering the 60 FPS waiting animation rather than trying to clear whatever is blocking the main thread in the content process from proceeding. Okay. I think that was English. What else do I have in here? 14 days ago. Exactly 2 weeks ago. Scrolling gets janky on YouTube. I got neat infoed. It's regularly analyzed. Performance profiles. Oh, I think actually we analyzed this during the joy of profiling. So let me reply to the user. Mayank. Findings. Hey Mank, sorry for the delay here. We analyzed this profile during the most recent episode of the Joy of Profiling, and that was episode what? I think it's like 1110. Joy of Profiling. So I'll put a link to that there if he wants to watch it. Our findings are as follows. ABP is still using a lot of sync IPC traffic, which will bog things down. The APB devs are hoping to release a pure web extension version of Adblock Plus before 57 ships to release. That should help a great deal with this problem, since we're seeing quite a bit of sync IPC caused by ABP in this profile. And then Stanga noticed that we're recompiling some very similar JavaScript for each embedded YouTube video inside the Rolling Stone document. We filed bug such and such about that. For that, thanks for bringing that to our attention. Okay. So that will clear that. Need info. How's our build doing? Almost done. Hey, this is the part that I said it would freeze at before. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to quit, run mock build again, and then what I imagine will happen is it's going to like be really fast. That's what happened last time anyways. What's the time? It's 2:01.
Oh, wow, 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 wow.
Here's a good sound for running out of time. So I'm gonna say I'm gonna cap this episode in about 22 minutes, 23 minutes, 29 minutes, somewhere in there. I like to do about an hour and a half, but let's see how far we can get with this background stuff. Come on, let's do it. Oh, we've already got review back from Dow. Um, let's see here. Let's put this back up. So if I hover, let's say if I open Mozilla in a background tab here, and I hover it, yep, tab child warming up. When I hover the tab child warming up, warming up. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is instead of saying warming up, I'm going to say make visible. And then I'm going to turn on logging, use dump for logging true. So now I'm going to build again. Because I want to see if hovering is going to cause the warm up to occur. Actually, the other thing I might do is warm up. So I'm going to move this code, warm up tab, state loading. Instead of doing that, do that. I don't know how we're going to deal with state loaded coming in. Moz layer tree ready. On layers ready. Log state. Let's assert loading or loaded. So we're probably going to fail this assertion. Comment that out for now. Build faster. So let's get all these tabs going. Let's open a couple in the background here and hover that. And it says the linked browser is undefined in 4887. So I've got some bad code here. 4887. Right. Okay. So tab should be tab.linkedbrowser. Yeah, like that. So I've got Reddit sitting there in the background. I'm gonna hover it. And what happened? It's actually really hard for me to tell. I'm gonna close other tabs so they're fewer to deal with. Open Reddit in the background. I'm gonna hover it and see what happens. So like, it didn't look like it did much. Should be blank. Quest tabs remote loaded. And then tab switch time was like 70 milliseconds, which is a lot lower than I want it, or a lot higher than I want it to be. Ah. So I don't think setting, or maybe it does. Like, infinite requested tabs remote is true. Like, what if I keep it alive for a while? I want to keep it alive. Set tab state warming. So set tab state. Well, I'm going to set true. Set tab state. Oh, I can do set tab state no action. That's what I'll do. Warm up tab. State loading. Okay. Hover. So it warms, but I never get layers for it. I never get layers for it. It's warming, it's warming. I never get layers back. So tab child must say make visible, make visible. Oh, make visible, and then I have to like cause it to paint. Oh. So like do all of this stuff. So maybe I can just like just do all of this really quick. What's the other end of this condition? There, there. So like I'm gonna do all of this. Warm up. Paint now. We need to schedule a paint. Okay. Oh, I need dock shell, dock shell, dock shell. Is that okay? Warm up. Okay, let's try that. Build binaries. Some people are saying hi in the chat, I think. Hello. Hi. I don't know when this occurred. I'm going to disable live chat on YouTube. Sorry, folks. What? Non-void function should return a value. Oh, yeah, okay. Return IPC, okay. Almost done here, folks. At least we'll have, I think we'll have proof. We might have a way forward at the end of this for this tab thing. And Dow, I don't know if I mentioned it, Dow already came back to me about this scrolling behavior stuff. He cleared the review. He gave some feedback here. He wanted to know why I didn't restore stop scroll to the way it was before. Stop scroll. So he said just do it this way. I'm trying to remember. I'll go back in a sec. But first, this stuff. So I'm back here. I'm going to open up Reddit in the background here. Let's see what happens. Hover my mouse. No. I never got layers. I never got layers for it. Never got layers, and now I've got this like perma spinner. This feels bad. Feels pretty bad. Paint, paint, paint. So what happens when you schedule a paint? One of these things, I wonder if the pres shell is not active. Pres shell. Paint. Wonder if we have to like make the pres shell set is active. Press shell h is active. Set is active. Let's see what calls it. Okay. So I wonder if I could do it that way. If press shell set is active, true. Whoops, I'm in the wrong place. Warm up. Press shell set is active, true. All right. So got this depressing news about Canadians, and I'm gonna hover my mouse over the tab. Hey, that worked. That worked. I got layers for it. So, yeah, that was great. That's what we want. So we have to make the pres shell active. But we need to, when we unwarm a tab, you need to be able to unwarm a tab. So we set the dock shell as inactive. Interesting. So like, that works nicely. There might be hope here. Okay, okay, so let's write this down. There's hope here. This works, but we have to schedule the paint and activate the pres shell. This means we might get into a situation where this means that the pres shell will be active, but the dock shell will not be until selected. And when does the dock shell become active? Dock shell is active. When we set tab state to loading, the dock shell becomes active here. When we set tab state to loading. That's interesting because that means that warmed up tabs then, let's say I warm up this one and I click on it, is the browser active? Is the dock shell active? G selected browser, dock shell is active, is false. Dock shell is not active. In fact, yeah, that's bad. The dock shell is not active even though it's painted. So there's a little bit of state confusion there. This means that, but the dock shell will not be, and will not be. And when selected, the async tab switcher will think that the tab is in state loaded, so it won't set the dock shell to be active. This feels really risky. But let's see if, let's see if the hovering, we have to check to see if this actually fixes the problem. Like, none of this will be useful if it doesn't fix the problem. So let's see if it fixes the YouTube problem. So I'll go to YouTube, and I'll like open this background primitive technology video, and so that's paused, see there? And I'm gonna hover it. Cool, and it stays paused. That's good. And I click on it, and then it plays. Great. That's what we want. That's what we want. Okay, so let me write up my findings in the bug, and then I think I'm going to close out the episode. Okay. I investigated this yesterday and today, and here are my findings. The reason that the video is being, and the page visibility API is telling the page that the tab is visible, is because we're setting the dock shell to be active. Actually, I thought I had a stack somewhere. So the trick, so we have to avoid doing that, and yet still need to get the layers to the compositor, for the page to the compositor. I talked to Bill M, and as it turns out, this is actually possible. We need to first make the tab child visible, puppet widget visible, via tab child make visible, then activate the pres shell, and then trigger a paint. The problem, that's all well, and that appears to fix the problem. However, it puts us in a kind of confused state now. The way I've hacked up my proof of concept patch, the tab goes into a state loading without having set dock shell, the dock shell as active. Dock shell as active. And then when we select the warmed tab, we transition from state loading to state loaded, and the dock shell is never activated. So in order to, so we'll need to do some refactoring here, sorry, not refactoring, some reorganizing here in the async tab switcher to account for this middle ground warming state between either I really don't want to do that so close to uplift. The async tab switcher is fragile and is pretty fragile. Fragile code. I think the safest option, given the remaining time, is to disable tab warming for now, and then revisit this plan once 57 after 57 uplifts. I'm pretty bummed out by that. The telemetry was really, the telemetry showed that this gave a significant performance boost to tab switching. However, I think that the risks of trying to shove, I think that the risks of attempting to jam this optimization in with slap together regression fixes is a really bad idea. That the risks of attempting to jam this optimization with slap together regression fixes greatly outweigh the gains considering what will be required. So I think I'm going to post a patch disabling tab warming for now, and then file a new bug to change how the warming mechanism works. Alright, and that's that. So I'm going to disable tab warming. Firefox 57. Right. So this is going to be the bug where I disable. Okay, so like that's it. We kind of tackled. It wasn't super awesome in that like the tab strip one was pretty cool. We wrote a patch. Got some feedback on that. I'm gonna go back and forth with Dow on that. For this other one, which I need to put a link to. Here, I'll put a link to it in the agenda. This other one was a little disappointing simply because I wasn't able to find an acceptable solution that would allow tab warming to ride the trains in 57, which is too bad because it's a really nice optimization. But I think it is the prudent choice given the remaining amount of time in the cycle, the code freeze, etc., and how much work is still remaining. So there we go. That's it. So there we go. I've updated the agenda with that bug. Hey folks, that was episode 111 of The Joy of Coding. I hope that was interesting. If you enjoyed The Joy of Coding, consider checking out other people hacking on stuff. If you scroll down to the links section of the agenda here, there's The Joy of Diagnosis. There's The Joy of Automation with Armin. I do The Joy of Profiling. It's under here, under the live hacking channel. So here's The Joy of Profiling. I do that with a couple of engineers in the Toronto office. Lost in Data is a series that got started a couple of years ago that you might find interesting with Joel Marr. Hour of Design, if you want to watch someone, Ricardo Vasquez, go through some design stuff when he was doing that a couple years ago. Code Therapy with Danny O'Brien. And as always, check out Watch People Code, the subreddit, because it's got a ton of people hacking on stuff, and you should totally check it out. They're building some neat things, and you might really enjoy watching. I'm really enjoying this series. Watching a game developer put together a Windows game from scratch that's not using any third-party engines, with really great explanations about what's going on. That's Handmade Hero. It was kind of one of my inspirations for this video series, so you should check it out. Handmade Hero, full builds, or Handmade Hero. Amazing. It's like hundreds of episodes. And this is where I got like the idea for the episode guide, or where Sam, I think, gave me the idea for the episode guide. And he's at episode 405, crashing the stream with a fragment shader. I don't even know, like, he's gotten to like fragment shaders and stuff. Last I checked, he was like, look at this, look where he's at. Last I checked this game, he was like still trying to get pixels on the screen. So I thought it was pretty cool. So you should check it out. And he's adding simple lighting and stuff. That's pretty cool. I don't know what he's doing, what he's up to. Alright, well, that's it for The Joy of Coding. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Mike Conley. I hope to see you next week for episode 112. Let me just switch here to Bramp. Episode 12, coming out next week. I'll see you Wednesday. Take care. Bye-bye.
The joy of coding.
See ya.